So there's one thing from Zero Hedge and one from Ron Paul, as in ronpaulinstitute.org. They kind of go hand in hand. And one of my favorite politicians and presidential candidates of all time, I mean, hands down all time, Ron Paul. Man, oh man, would I have loved for him to win. But the club was not allowing that anyway, anyhow. So instead, we have Donald Trump now, which, again, there's good things, there's some bad things, there's some interesting things, there's some things we think we know, we end up not knowing, some things we don't know that all of a sudden we find out knowing that we weren't expecting, you know. Boy, it's a kind of a weird one, but this article is titled Economic Reality, the Bottom 50% of Americans No Longer Matter. And I saw that from, this is the Zero Hedge part, and I said, meaning what? No longer matter in what way? And they laid it out quite nicely. Authored by Mike Shedlock via mishtalk.com. The Fed likes to brag about we save the world recovery. However, the unfortunate truth of the matter is a record half of American families live paycheck to paycheck. Does it matter? Let's investigate, he says. 50% are woefully unprepared for a financial emergency. Nearly 1 in 5, or 19% technically, Americans have nothing set aside to cover an unexpected emergency. Nearly 1 in 3, 31%, Americans don't have at least $500 set aside to cover an unexpected emergency expense, according to a survey released Tuesday by HomeServe USA, a home repair service. A separate survey released Monday by insurance company MetLife, remember them? Get Met, it pays. MetLife found that 49% of employees are concerned, anxious, or fearful about their current financial well-being. Deleveraging? Where? A Fed study shows U.S. households will soon have as much debt as they did in 2008. Now, that's interesting from a Fed study showing U.S. households will soon have as much debt as they did in 2008. Because my brain says we now have finally hit $1 trillion in credit card debt. We've never had that happen before. We've had now $1.4 trillion in student loan debt. We've never had that before. Mortgages, housing, all-time high again, which means people got huge mortgages, regardless of the interest rate, large amounts of money being borrowed, which is debt. So how in the hell are we will soon have as much debt as they did, households in 2008? That doesn't sound right to me, even kind of. Having said that, if somehow this is true, and we're a pinch away from there, as little Ashley would say, it's a little pinch, Daddy. Just do it a pinch, just a little pinch. Okay, we're a pinch away from having as much debt as we had in 2008. Now let's think about this: how many bankruptcies, foreclosures included, both and or, happened in 2008? Because even though you may not have had a bankruptcy, and I say 2008, but again, 2008, 9, 10. You may not have filed for bankruptcy, but you still had a foreclosure. That $200,000, $300,000 house you had is now gone. You don't owe it anymore, foreclosed. Therefore, U.S. households don't owe that, those who got foreclosed and left, which there were in an enormous amount. So we're not even at the point again now of the foreclosure nightmare that happened then. And we're already a pinch away from being back as far as in debt as they were back then, before they got to foreclosed on, before they bankrupted. But I don't see how household debt has come down, except for the fact that default, credit card default, bankruptcy, foreclosure, it was so massive it wiped a ton of debt off the book somehow. Maybe that's what happened. Anyways, the Federal Reserve announced Friday that the U.S. has $1 trillion in credit card debt. Consumers hit that number in the fourth quarter of 2016, but eased on revolving credit during January 2017. The Fed announcement showed revolving consumer credit hit more than $1 trillion once again in February 2017. Credit card debt is rising quickly. Oh, quickly. Not rising normally or modestly, It's rising quickly all of a sudden. Why is that? I guess people are running out of money. Again, you only use a credit card, most people anyways, when they don't have the money. That's why it's there. An emergency use, I'll put on the credit card. Guys like me, well, I don't really have to. My wife's got the van in her name. I'm paying rent here. But I don't have anything else. So you know what? That silver, let me go ahead and put that on a credit card, pay it off in a month to 2 months. That's it. And I'm only rolling like that to try to bump my credit score way up because of the whole foreclosure settlement thing I went through. So most people, credit card debt because I have to, not because I want to. Although there is, of course, the mindset of, I don't even have to do this, but I want that stupid thing so bad, I'm going to put it on my credit card anyways. I'll just pay it off slowly because I have no choice to pay it off slowly. And then they end up paying 3 times the amount of whatever the hell it was they bought by the time they're done paying the credit card off, instead of just saving the money and then going and getting it. American mindset, American lifestyle, I want it now. I want it now. Oh, no, wait a minute. I want the world. I want the whole world. Presents and prizes of all shapes and sizes. That Veruca Salt, even though that was over in England, that movie, London. Boy, was she on the American lifestyle, state of mind. I want it now, Daddy. All right, put it on the credit card. Daddy, I want an electric vehicle like J-Snip 4. He got a Nissan Leaf, Daddy. I want one too. All right, get you one as soon as we get back. I want it now, Daddy. All right, Wonka, how much for the Nissan Leaf? Oh, it's not for sale. J-Snip 4 already bought it. What do you mean it's not for sale? Everything's for sale. Name your price. I'll write the check. It's not for sale. She can't have one. Who said I can't have one? Sorry about that. I got off track there. Veruca Salt. Credit card debt is rising quickly, but delinquencies are still really low, said Matt Schultz, a senior industry analyst at the credit card site, creditcards.com. Many Americans are doing a good job of controlling their debts, but eventually with big debts and rising interest rates, it's likely that something will have to give, he said. Paycheck to paycheck, good job. Excuse me for asking, but if the nation lives paycheck to paycheck, is that really indicative of doing a good job at managing debt? And as for low delinquencies, I remind you of which is his April 2016 article, subprime credit card losses bite Capital One, income down 20%, charge-offs up 30%. Goodness. Capital One likes J-Snip 4 though. That credit card I told you I'd put some on there, pay it off. Put some on there, pay it off. Capital One likes J-Snip 4. What's in J-Snip 4's wallet? Capital One card. So, Capital One, you don't have to worry about me charging off to make that 30% a little higher. Don't sweat, I got you covered. Nonetheless, I remind you of an important perception. We saved the world. Wall Street Journal, October 14th, 2015. How the Fed saved the economy. Washington Post, August 26, 2009. Ben Bernanke, the man who saved the world. Forbes, October 5th, 2015. Ben Bernanke on how the Fed saved the economy. Sounds like a movie. No. January 12th, 2013. I always have to add little whenever I see Tim Geithner and Timmy. January 12th, 2013. How little Timmy Geithner saved the banks with Bernanke's help. 2 reasons not to worry. Number 1, the stock market and housing are still going strong. We heard the same thing in 2007, but it's different this time, right? Number 2, the bottom 50% of the economy simply do not matter. What does that mean? The real crux of the matter is point number 2. Number 1, number 2. Number 2. The Fed does not give a damn about the bottom half of the economy, even though it spouts continual lies about income inequality. The bottom 50% does not matter. As long as the Fed can keep stocks and home prices elevated, there is no concern about the food stamp rent subsidized. And you know me and my neighbors. I got a little story to tell you. Just reminded me, riffraff. Let me start over because this article is almost done. I'll tell you in a second. As long as the Fed can keep stocks and home prices elevated, there's no reason to be concerned about the food stamp, rent subsidized, Medicaid supplement, disability income, Obamacare subsidized, 50% of Americans struggling paycheck to paycheck. That money rolls rolls as guaranteed month after month. That 50% cannot afford a house is irrelevant as long as suckers keep paying $500,000 for a 2-bedroom shack in LA. The game is to keep asset prices up so that the top 50% keep spending. The bottom 50% are taken care of by government or taxpayer subsidies noted above. And here's the real deal. Fed expects a second quarter rebound, higher equity prices. Repeat performance, the Fed needs to keep asset prices elevated even though it's pretty clear concerns are mounting over bubbles. Can the Fed save the world again? Previously, the bottom third of society did not matter. Then the bottom 40% did not matter. Now the bottom 50% apparently does not matter. That statement is a bit over the top. By how much, I don't know, but the trend is clear, as is the fly in the ointment. Brexit was the first warning shot. Donald Trump being elected was the second. And I'm going to give you a third. Le Pen's victory in France coming soon. As soon as the bottom 65% doesn't matter, those 65% may vote to take matters into their own hands, he says. I'll save the riffraff story. I want to continue on Ron Paul's article, and I'll end the story with that. Save Liberty, shut down the government. Ron Paul, May 1st, 2017. Congress ended the week by passing a continuing resolution keeping the government funded for one more week. This stopgap funding bill is designed to give Congress and the White House more time to negotiate a long-term spending bill. Passage of a long-term spending bill has been delayed over objections to Republican efforts to preserve Obamacare's key features, but give states a limited ability to opt out of some Obamacare mandates. And from what I heard last, they may have come to a conclusion, $1 trillion plus something dollar, right around $1 trillion or a little more or whatever, spending bill just to get us to September. We need an additional $1 trillion to get us to September. Guess the income tax wasn't enough. Make it enough. I'm not sure. I don't think they voted yet. I'm not sure. I think they're supposed to be voting today, or maybe tonight or tomorrow morning, which tonight being Monday night. Anyways, this type of brinkmanship has become standard operating procedure on Capitol Hill. The drama inevitably ends when a spending bill being crafted behind closed doors by small groups of members and staffers and then rushed to the floor and voted on before most members have a chance to read it. These omnibus spending bills are a dereliction of one of Congress's two most important duties, allocating spending. Of course, Congress long ago abandoned another primary duty, preventing presidents from launching military attacks without first obtaining a congressional declaration of war. The uncomfortable question raised by Congress's abrogation of these two key functions is whether a Republican form of government is compatible with a welfare warfare state. The answer seems to be no. Congress's dysfunctional spending process, and if North Korea does what I keep telling you, they knock it down a U.S. aircraft carrier, or now they're saying they'll hit a carrier and or a submarine, whatever. You want to talk about a huge spending bill coming to a country near you soon? Speaking of what he just said, Congress's dysfunctional spending process is an inevitable result of the government's growth. It is simply unrealistic to expect Congress to fund the modern Leviathan via a lengthy and open process that allows individual members to have some say in how government spends their constituents' money. The dysfunctional spending process benefits the many politicians eager to avoid accountability for government spending. The rushed process allows these politicians to say they had to vote for the spending bills. Often these big spending bills include a promise to cut spending in the future. Like tomorrow, the promised spending cuts are always a day away. If government continues to expand, and history shows it always does, in case you're wondering, the economy will continue to stagnate, social tensions and violence will increase, and more power will be concentrated in the hands of the presidents, bureaucrats, and a select few members of Congress. The only way to avoid this is for Congress to shut down most of the federal government, starting with bringing the troops home and drastically cutting the military-industrial complex's budget. Congress must also close all unconstitutional federal agencies and programs and wind down federal entitlement programs. A good place to start is the Department of Education. The Federal Reserve must be audited and then ended. The root of the current crisis is neither political nor economic, but philosophical. Too many have bought into the lie that government can protect us from life's misfortunes and stamp out evil across the world without endangering our liberty, our safety, and our prosperity. Convincing a critical mass of people to reject big government is key to our success. The breakdown of the congressional appropriations process, combined with hyper-interventionism via the Federal Reserve and foreign policy, suggests we are in the last stages of the welfare warfare state. Whether this system's inevitable collapse completes our descent into authoritarianism or leads to a restoration of limited constitutional government and free markets depends on how effective those of us who know the truth are in spreading the ideas of liberty. Fantastic. A little riffraff update. Now, you saw when I got my car, my new car, Saturday, right? This past Saturday, got the 2015 Nissan Leaf. Any new subscribers, in case you're wondering, I went fully electric, 2015 Nissan Leaf, 15,000 miles on it, $10,000. Out the door, $11K. I freaking love it. I'm seriously thinking of getting a license plate, FU Big Oil or FU Oil Cartel, something, you can only have up to 7 characters, so I got to figure something out. But anyway, so that was Saturday. Then Sunday came around. Again, today's Monday, so Saturday. And while I was doing the video in the car to show everybody, hey, this is my new car, FU the Oil Cartel. In the middle of me talking, beep 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 beep. What the? What are you doing? Who is that? Oh, I know exactly who that is. That's Riff Raff's friend. A couple of friends, and you should have seen these two jabronis. You want to talk about a couple of jabronis? Again, I didn't want to point the camera over in their faces. Didn't want to be rude, but what are you doing? Who drives to someone's neighborhood and just... What are you doing? You either text the person, hey, I'm here, or I'm driving in, we're driving down the street, we'll be there in 1 minute. Or get your ass out of the car and go knock on the effing door. So, Sunday, kids are all outside, the neighborhood, everybody's playing. What is that in my yard? Candy wrapper again. Lollipop wrapper. Okay. Any young girls know who? Anybody have this? Oh, they did next door. Riff Raff. They did next door. Riff Raff, his brother and his sister. They had 3 of them. They had some of those. You're positive it was them? Yeah, I didn't see them put it there, but that's the one they had. That's the kind of lollipop they had. Okay. We'll go over there and knock on the door. One of the kids answers. Then all 3 kids end up coming to the door. Did you guys have a lollipop earlier? Like with this wrapper? We did have lollipops, but not those. We didn't have that kind. My mom gave them to us, but we don't have that kind. Are you sure? Because they're telling me that you guys had this. No. But Kendall, the kid next door, Kendall, he had some too. Yeah, I don't. He had a ice cream, little sucker thing. Okay. You sure? All right. Well, just make sure if you do have trash, throw it away in the trash can, not on the ground. Yeah. Okay. All right. Bye. Go in the house. I'm thinking, well, I got a camera out there, but it doesn't quite go over to where that was on the other side of my car. Okay, whatever. So, not going to waste my time. Go outside. The garbage can was still out there from, putting it out. I put it out early, like as in 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because the next day is garbage day. Which, again, my brain is telling me, who would throw this right here in the grass when just a few feet away is the garbage? And as I'm out there to go get the garbage can to go put in the house, because it's empty now, or wasn't going out there to get the garbage can, it was for the next day. I went out there for something, I don't remember what the heck it was. But I noticed next to the garbage can, same wrapper, right there. Now I'm getting a little bit angry. Why? It was 2 feet away from the garbage can. mailbox, about 3 feet of space, and then my garbage can. Now, who the hell, who would do that? Same wrapper. Well, that's 2 wrappers that are identical, huh? So I asked the kid again, and they said, yeah, that was the same one. That's the one they had next door. Let me go next door and ask for the mom. Let me just bring her out. Ask her, is this by chance the kind of lollipops you have, or you gave your kids? Yeah, that's one of them. I was like, and their kids are there too. I'm like, guys, you told me the other wrapper I showed you, you said that wasn't yours. That's the same exact wrapper I have here. It's the same one. Oh, we didn't know, okay. I'm like, well, the reason I'm asking you is because I was actually over here earlier and I asked them about the wrapper because there was one on the side of my yard, and then I just now found a second one, and this one kind of bothered me because it was literally about 2 feet from my garbage can. They could have just could have tossed it right there, and someone decided to leave it here. And again, everybody's like telling me, your kids had these, so well, no, we threw ours in the trash. I said, well, no, I'm just telling you what everybody's telling me. Okay, all right, I'll talk to them. Okay, so I go home. That wrapper is in front of my camera. That wrapper is right in front of my camera. High definition, 1080p. It'll actually do 2K, but I got it set to 1080p. Go back, play back. Yep, there's the neighbor, one of their kids. What I refer to as Riff Raff's brother, the older one. Sitting with a lollipop, I can see him sucking on it, in the exact spot where the wrapper was found by me, 2 feet away from the garbage can. Now, I didn't go back over there, hey, look what I found. No, I said what I needed to say. And when I left, I said, look, kids, just remember, when you have candy wrapper, you got to throw that stuff away, all right? Just remember, when you got something outside, throw it away in the garbage can or take it inside and throw it away. Okay. Yeah. Riff Raff. You remember that little cartoon? Heathcliff, no one should terrorize his neighborhood. I always think of Riff Raff, no one should move inside of Jason for his neighborhood. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I'm trying not to get I'm not all amped up, like, I'm kind, knock on the door, hey, just want to bring this to your attention, that kind of thing. So, one good policy they have next door is, they go to public schools. During the week, for some reason, they don't let their kids out to play. They go to school, they come home, do their homework, and they got to stay inside. So, for like all week long, my yard looks fine, everything's normal, everything's cool, everything's great. The weekend comes, all kinds of problems. But, yeah, that's my life here in what should be a middle to middle upper class neighborhood. Is speaking of the videos I'm doing here right now about subsidized and subsidized housing. Yeah. So anyways, off to my final video. Take care.